a morning journey to Bridgetown almost ended in tragedy after a transport board bus with 10 passengers overturned at Harrison's in St. Lucie. The driver of the bus, Walter Henderson, 45 years old, apparently lost control and the vehicle slid into a cane field and overturned on its right side around 7:20 this morning. 32-year-old passenger Tisha Norville of Northumberland, St. Lucie, sustained a fractured right foot. She was taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital by ambulance. The other 9 passengers were reported to have sustained minor injuries and were transported for further medical attention to the QEH and a polyclinic by a transport board bus. The QEH and the BDF ambulances, along with personnel from the Barbados Fire Service and the roving response team, responded to the scene. Some of the passengers told CBC of their experience.
I don't really know what happened. That's the truth. All I know, then I see the bus tumbling down. When I realized the bus was on its side that I was on, I don't really tell the truth, know what really happened. Because he trying to control the bus, and that's why we got to do it. Thank God that nobody lost their life.
All I know that the bus will come around, you can feel it slow down, the driver stand up in a position to get come around, but it just won't come around. So all I could have said is, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy.
I was sitting and I see the bus start sliding and the driver standing up to hold the bus in position, and it just went to slide and went over.
Public sector workers in Barbados are no less efficient or productive than private sector workers. This is the firm assertion from President of the National Union of Public Workers, Walter Maloney. At the time, he was responding to questions about the productivity of public sector workers, and this is against the background of the proposed 3,000 layoffs by government.
One of the things that I marvel at is that whenever there is a crisis within this country, the public service is then singled out as that entity whose measure of efficiency and effectiveness becomes in the forefront. Okay? And yet, during the crisis in 91, 92, when the public service would have lost a considerable number of persons, the fact remains is that the level of productivity in this country was raised to a level or to a height unforeseen.
Meanwhile, Mr. Maloney says public sector workers continue to be productive despite the fact that many of them are uncertain about what lies ahead.
Service in this country continue to produce in some trying circumstances. Very trying circumstances. I know we're even talking about now the 3,000 people going on, because one would think that since the announcement that the level of productivity in public service will decrease, because the uncertainty is not only amongst those 3,000 persons, there's a level of uncertainty amongst the persons who are even appointed. Okay? Not necessarily that they might lose their job, but what's going to happen when those persons, if those persons had to go.
It's 3 days since Christmas, and store owners at one of Barbados' busiest shopping malls are reflecting on this year's performance. It appears that the economic recession brought with it a new kind of shopper, which has impacted on the overall amount of sales this Christmas. Ron Brathwaite reports.
Business operators at the newly renovated multi-purpose shopping center at Sheraton Center in Christchurch have been reporting moderate sales for the just concluded Christmas season. Operators say the economic climate has brought out a different kind of shopper. There was plenty of interest in greeting cards this year, with this shelf at the Hallmark store in Sheraton bearing the result.
We have Hallmark e-cards as well, but you would find that for Christmas especially, people tend to want the tangible physical card to send overseas and to their loved ones here as well. So the paper cards aren't going to die anytime soon.
Another popular gift this Christmas was plants.
Lots of people looking to give like orchids or peace lilies, things that will help improve your environment. It seems to be plants becoming a big thing.
A lot of people is getting popular. A lot of people in town, people coming back and saying them in the bank and hearing people saying, have you seen the new plants that are open at Sheraton? So again, far.
This year, surprisingly, many shoppers focus on toys and clothing for kids.
I have no idea where Barbadians found the money, but I guess maybe it's just the spirit of Christmas and everybody just wanted to buy somebody something. Especially a lot of babies have been born. So it's either buying for somebody or buying for yourself.
There was, however, a disappointment in the sales of electronics.
Our best days were probably the Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and yesterday, which was the day after Boxing Day. People were buying mainly tablets, and that sort of gift.
There are, however, new prospects for electronic gadgets, given the number of new technologies coming on stream.
I do believe there's a new Windows phone and new Windows tablets coming out, so we should keep an eye on those. But I still think that the Android systems and our Apple systems will be selling just as well.
Barbadian shoppers have always ensured they enjoy the hustle and bustle of the Yuletide season, economic recession or not. And this year was no different. Ron Brathwaite, CBC News.
Thanks, Ron. The Deputy Director of the Department of Emergency Management, Carrie Hines, is among a team of disaster management officials on the ground in St. Vincent to assess the damage brought by the trough system that affected the Eastern Caribbean on Christmas Eve. The Caribbean Disaster and Emergency Management Agency, SEDEMA, is leading the 8-member technical team. CBC reporter Shane Seeley is also traveling with the disaster management team. He visited one of the hardest hit communities this morning.
Well, Lisa, I spent the day with a team from the RSS. We flew in to both St. Vincent and the Grenadines and St. Lucia to get a first-hand look at the damage and destruction caused by the deadly trough system, which struck on Christmas Eve and on Christmas Day in both countries. First, we landed in Kingstown and visited one of the hardest hit areas called Bucamont. Residents there were busy cleaning up mud and debris from their homes and businesses in the area. I heard first-hand accounts of people being washed away in floodwaters. Many of them are still missing 5 days after the disaster. That's why there are fears that the death toll could rise even further from the 8 recorded so far. Later in the day, we met with Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves, who had been meeting for several hours with top officials from financial circles, disaster management officials, and other regional leaders. And he's called for major financial assistance because he's estimating that the damage is in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And he wants also international assistance from the World Bank and the EU. And he wants regional leaders to help lobby for that funding. According to him, 300 people are now homeless. Half the country is still without running water. 10% of the country's forests have been virtually washed away, flattened by floodwaters. Now, some of the people that will be helping in the relief effort in St. Vincent and the Grenadines include Barbados' very own Innertech, a construction company you would know that will be helping in the rebuilding of several bridges and other infrastructural arrangements across the country. And reporting live from Castries, I'm Shane Seeley for CBC News.
Thanks, Shane. Vincentians living in Barbados have been responding to the calls to assist those at home following the recent deadly and devastating floods. The St. Vincent and the Grenadines Association of Barbados is asking all Vincentians, Barbadians, and other concerned citizens to support their disaster relief fund. It was set up at the Clement Payne Cultural Center on Crumpton Street in Bridgetown. On Monday, it will be opened from 9 in the morning until 9 in the night to receive donations. Donations accepted include non-perishable items such as toiletries, bottled water, clothing, and foodstuff. Now, the Barbados Red Cross yesterday launched a product appeal for St. Lucia and St. Vincent. It will, however, not be accepting clothing. Donations can be sent to the Red Cross on Monday. A young man held this week after allegedly brandishing a cutlass in a St. Michael district has been remanded to Her Majesty's Prison at Dodds. Gary Ian Williams of Stewart Lodge, Tweedside Road, appeared in court after being arrested and charged with the offence of affray. A picture of the youngster with the cutlass was captured on the back page of a local daily newspaper. Williams is to reappear in court on January 15th, at which time a pre-sentencing report is to be submitted. The flying fish have finally returned to local shores, but it seems that the customers have disappeared. When a CBC team visited the Bridgetown Fisheries Complex earlier today, the vendors there complained of slow sales. One vendor, Sharon Thompson, described sales as moderate, while adding that prices have been reduced.
Well, sales are moderate. You know, this is the Christmas season, and people are really looking for turkey and ham, but you're still finding a few people coming for the flying fish, the dolphin and the marlin. But for a couple of weeks, the flying fish was selling at $70 a 100, but today they had a few boats, so they're selling at $40 per 100.
Another vendor, Kadeem Joseph, believed the Christmas season had contributed to decreasing sales.
It ain't that much. The customers ain't coming like one time, so you know it ain't gonna be like so strong, like how it used to be, busy, everybody round the box, and Christmas now gone. One time everybody be running box, this box will be done in less than 15-20 minutes.